I heard today is going to be 6 Grubel 4Cs. So
No, yes, I know yesterday's unboxing was like a $3 million unboxing. It's not every day we get that many watches, but I have a strong feeling you may want to talk about this calendar from Patek Philippe.
This is beautiful. It's a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar. I mean, not much to say. They're the masters of this complication. They're the ones who were the first to do it in a wristwatch. And this is their 240 micro rotor movement, which I think is probably their nicest movement that they do, other than manual line chronos. I think this is beautiful. This is classic Patek. I mean, there's not much else to say. It's just.
I will add to the Patek. Gary, what do you have to say about this classic Patek?
I love it.
Thank you.
I'm a Patek guy.
Thank you, I appreciate it. One thing I will say about Pateks is that, yes, the hype stuff is great, the Nautilus is the Aquanaut, some of the other stuff that's gone through the roof in the last years. One thing that's always been slow and steady is that perpetual calendar line. And as you said, this is what they've done, this is what they started.
Yeah.
And
this
contrary to all belief, I know when I say Patek nowadays, people will think of a Nautilus most likely, but when most people, believe it or not, think of a Patek, those true Patek collectors, this is the type of watch that they think of, and this is the type of watches that they purchase.
Since Gary was just here, we could call it the Michael Jordan of Patek.
Don't start that shit again. How about a two-tone Daytona? Two-tone in the last few years has caught up with a vengeance, and I think the watch responsible for is the two-tone root beer.
Yeah.
Personally.
Nick is in the comments. He's like, die hard. He knew. He
Nick,
said,
who? Nick?
Yeah.
Einsman?
Einsman.
Oh, here's another Marco watch. Woo. Woo. I love when he goes, woo, you know it's a Marco watch.
That's a heavy hitter, bro.
All right, so I'm a big fan of value, right? And today's we can talk about this forever and ever and ever, but whenever it comes to buying tourbillons from Breguet, much like the Patek, this is the guy that invented the tourbillon, so kind of goes with the territory. They know what they're doing. Maybe I should wind this guy. So double retrograde. Oh, it's a. I can't see shit. This is the retrograde. That's the power reserve. What's that?
Yeah, that's 24 hour.
Yeah, the 24-hour indicator. Let me get this tourbillon going, and I'll let you talk about the finishes because I know that's
yeah. I mean, I just want to start with this because this is incredible. This is all freehand engraved, right? I mean, you can imagine just how much time it takes, and if you fuck it up, you basically have to restart from the beginning.
Yeah, it's right? it's like a pencil drawing. Basically.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So the amount of detail, and this is my thumb, right? Look at my nail. The size of the engraving is so small, so the accuracy you have to have is incredible. And then you have obviously tourbillon invented by Breguet in 1801, white gold dial with a guilloche, the palm hands, which are known as Breguet hands. I mean, this is classic Breguet.
It's funny how their hands are known as the Breguet hands across auto models. That goes for something too alone.
And what's so undervalued from people today is case and lug construction. These are all soldered on lugs, so they'll literally solder them after the fact. And this mid case is cold rolled. It's white gold or platinum?
White gold.
White gold. So I mean, this is just crazy. You know what I mean? This is.
One of the things that people underappreciate is the one thing that you love talking about, and that is the finishes. That's what, if you think about it, just go back to the basics. Take the value aspect out of it. Take the collectability aspect out, or the hype, or the demand. Right? If you look at a handmade watch, starting with the movement, obviously being fully handmade, et cetera, but then the details, the finishing, the way the case is done, the way the lugs are started. Those are a lot of the things you don't hear people talk about, and it's a shame, I feel like.
It's a lost art too. There's just not, at least before, right? Prior to the 90s, you used to have case makers, bracelet makers, dial makers, movement makers. So they would all separately do the watches, and they would, I guess, kind of come together. That's why the Sterns were case makers originally for Patek, right? And it's just a lost art.
Alex, what am I unboxing, Alex?
16710. Cool.
Oh, 16.7.
Shout out to Steven. He actually asked if he would be featured in the unboxing. So.
Shout out to Steven.
There you go, Steven.
Is Steven getting these?
Yes.
Well,
just the cook.
I like this is clean. I mean, one of the things that Adam taught me, shout out to Adam from Mentor Watches, is, people ask me, what do I look for right away? Obviously, the most important thing on a vintage, this is like neo-vintage, but on the most important thing on older and vintage watches especially is the dial first and foremost. With a watch that's relatively young still, not really vintage, you want to look at the lugs, you want to look at the corners, and you want to make sure that these lugs are nice and sharp, literally sharp. You can run your finger over it. If it feels sharp, that means this watch hasn't been over-polished, repolished, or polished a gajillion times. Here's a not vintage watch that, also Steven?
No, this is, shout out to David.
Shout out to David, who's getting a 41mm Datejust with a fluted or smooth?
This is smooth.
I know what it is.
I mean, I'm saying,
Thanks, Alex.
I would personally go with fluted on this just because of the Jubilee.
I don't know. I'm always, I don't know. One day I feel one way, what the other, but like I look at this is so clean.
Yeah.
But then I feel like maybe on an oyster bracelet it would look different. But that's the beauty about Rolex is that if you, let's say whoever, David, if you get in this watch and tomorrow you want to have a completely different watch, you can literally go out there, order an oyster bracelet and you have a completely different watch, which is really cool. That's what I like about Rolex because everything is so interchangeable.
It's also a gift.
Oh, it's a gift. Okay.
I also think that Datejust, correct me if I'm wrong, Jubilee bracelet is distinctly Rolex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Smooth bezel is sportier. I think it's like the Rolex alternative to blue dial sports watch. You know, like your Aquanaut, Nautiluses.
And it's a hell of a different price range
What do you
too.
think?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No?
Because none of them have like.
Because it's a sporty, distinctly Rolex watch. I don't know.
Speaking of sporty Rolex, how about, okay, Sky-Dweller and Jubilee Oyster then?
Oyster.
100%.
Yeah.
It needs to be on an Oyster.
Yeah, Nina.
The watch is way too big to be on a Jubilee.
But can you imagine this, and Rolex will probably do this next year because they don't really get very creative with new models. Imagine if they did this with a smooth bezel.
Smooth bezel?
The problem with making this with a smooth bezel is because for those of you that know how to use a Sky-Dweller, to adjust it, you have positions. And it would be very tough to do that with a smooth
Grip
bezel.
it, yeah.
I mean, you could do it, but you know, the fact that this would be smooth would make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
The most complicated Rolex to date
Yeah.
on the market.
You know it's an annual calendar, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Annual
thank you.
calendar Rolex.
And for those that don't know, so where are the months?
On the hour indicator.
On the hours. See that? See that?
You know, Rolex was the first one to ever do that, which is like, I can't believe that.
There were many other watches out there that use hour markers as indicators for say.
Yeah.
You had, what's his name? Oh my God, flew out of my head. Good movement maker, made the jackpot watch. Christophe Claret has a lot of watches where he utilizes the markers as an indicator.
Interesting.
What is the coolest watch? What is the one watch that has the coolest marker indicators? And I'll give you a hint by saying shout out to Nico.
Oh,
It is a Hublot. So Manchester United, right? They made a watch for Manchester. It was a big King Power 47, 48 millimeter. We had that watch. They dry froze the grass from the field, from the soccer field, and they stuck it inside these little tiny capsules of the watch. And so each marker had a piece of grass from the field. So technically each watch was kind of unique, I guess.
Yeah.
But they dry froze the grass and they put it in each one of the hour markers. So the grass from the actual field is in the Manchester United watch.
Can I one up that?
Yes.
Roger Dubuis has that Knights of the Round Table
I knew
watch.
you were going to go there. I knew he was going to go there.
It's so good.
So guys, I know yesterday's unboxing was that $3 million unboxings. Again, that's not something that happens here every day, but it does happen on a regular. I do have some badass pieces en route in the likes of what you guys saw yesterday. And we'll be here to show all that stuff. So keep tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.